What's up, everybody? Happy Sunday. Happy Juneteenth weekend. Happy Pride-teenth. Happy Father's Day. Okay. Um, Listen, shout out to y'all's fine ass daddies and stepdaddies. Tell them I said hello. Oh, I had my channel open, my bad. Um, but tap in. Listen, we have a lot of things to cover today. I'm doing a little bit of a catch up. I want to talk a little bit of Rhode Island. I want to talk a little bit of Real Housewives of Atlanta. I'm curious as to whether or not y'all are watching All Stars 11, RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars 11. Who's in here? Hey, Cookie Ray, what's up, babes? Thank you so much for joining. Listen, as y'all come in, please hit that like button for me. I really, really appreciate it. Y'all know I don't go live on a Sunday very often, okay? But I was just like, let me come down here really quick. Um, and let's talk about the things. And then, as promised, we're gonna get into my Juneteenth Black spiritualist shout outs a little bit later. I was supposed to actually do that like back in March for Women's History Month, but my puppy passed away and it was just like a whole lot. And I was like, okay, let me push it back. So anyway, we here. Hey, Matt, thank you so much for joining. Okay, y'all. So let's start off with Rhode Island. Um, I felt like the last few episodes of Rhode Island kind of tapered off for me. It was getting a little bit redundant. It was just like, whatever. Hey, Mimi Fly, you're watching All Stars Perfect. Okay, so we have some things to talk about. Thank y'all so much for joining. Please hit that like button for me. Happy Sunday. Happy Juneteenth weekend. Happy Pride-teenth. Happy Father's Day. If you're a daddy and you're watching this, shout out to you. Shout out to y'all stepdaddies and y'all's daddies, okay? If they fine. So Rhode Island. I felt like it kind of tapered off for me. It was cool, you know what I mean? Them only having 12 episodes, I was surprised by that, but I also was like, good. Don't drag this out, you know what I mean? It was a cute first season. It was cute for what it was. Give us the boom, 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 and let us have the reunion and let that be that. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no reason to drag it out. I just felt like it was becoming a little bit repetitive for me. But I did want to touch on one thing in particular that really, really stood out here. And that was kind of like the wrapping up of Rula and Brian and her situation. Hey, Jameer, thank you so much for joining. Hey, Shanti, you're watching All Stars. Listen, I have to talk about All Stars because I'm just like, we already had two brackets. We're in the third. We gonna get there. We gonna get there. I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about the things. This finale felt like a normal episode. It wasn't a finale that I'm used to. I felt the same way, Jameer, and I felt like that was why it took forever for me to even get through the Rhode Island finale. So, okay, let's talk about the most important thing, which was this, the ladies are kind of at dinner. They're with all of their husbands. We did get a moment with Alicia and her husband where he put a bunch of candles and hearts and things in a circle in a heart shape with two chairs. He proposed to Alicia. She thought that was so nice. And I was like, wow, like it's so simple. Like women sometimes just want the thought, the simplest gesture. And I'm like, I can't believe that it's been all of these years and he couldn't even be bothered to do that. And I feel like a part of the reason that he even bothered to do that is because he's on TV and he knew that it would have looked bad if he didn't try to do it by the season's end. That's really how I feel about Alicia and her nigga. Like, I do not like her husband. I don't like him. I don't like him. By the way, I'm having a little I'm having a little Aperol spritz. I made myself a little brunch. I had chicken and waffles. Well, I ordered wings and I made the waffles myself. So that was that. Hey, D Nicole, what's up, sis? What's going on? Listen, her husband, yuck. But whatever. She got the proposal that she wanted. To me, it wasn't even all of that. But if Alicia is happy with it, fine. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? And a comment that he made to her that rubbed me the wrong way. I can't remember exactly what he said, but I'm just going to give you kind of like the sentiment. By the way, yes, I am wearing one of my crochet tops. Yes. Yes, honey. But something that he said to her, I can't remember exactly what it was, y'all, but it was something where she was kind of like, you know, I want this, I want that, I want a certain kind of romance. I think she was saying something like, I want the fairy tale. Now, that's where y'all lose me. When y'all start talking about fairy tales and all that kind of carrying on, it's like, this is where I feel like Disney and fairy tales and Aesop's, well, not Aesop's fables, because those are more like life lessons. You know what I'm saying? It's not like fantasy, but I just feel like that's where the fairy tales like really do the girls a disservice, because y'all still hold on to these fantasies, to these fairy tales, and it's like, these niggas are not princes. And you think you're just a pretty princess in a faraway castle, and some prince is gonna come and save you, and you have to kiss a certain amount of frogs, and it's just like, you still have this thinking at 50 years old. I think that's a part of the issue for me. But anyway, he said something to the effect of something like, you're 50, why would you expect that? And my thing is like, you're never too old to want romance, to want a sweet gesture, to want some type of thought and effort put into the situation. You get what I'm saying? It's just, I didn't like the way he tried to make it seem like you're too old to want effort. You're too old to want a certain kind of proposal. I think she was talking about her proposal. He commented on how could she still want the fantasy at her age? I don't know. I need to go back and get the exact quote, but yes, Shawnee, it was something like that. How could you still want the fantasy at your age? I think the ladies need to let go of this whole fantasy bit. But if you want romantic gestures, I think it's okay to voice that. I think it's okay to want that. Like, I think, you know what I mean? If you know your lady likes a little bit of pomp and circumstance, put together a little gathering for her. Put together some balloons and some flowers and what, like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like you should know your woman and what she likes. And I just don't feel like it's that hard. I don't feel like it's that hard. Okay. Yeah, D Nicole, like, I want the girls to let go of this fairy tale thing, but I understand. I felt like she was just wanting like an effort, like some type of show, not like his whole thing was like, we're not getting any younger and we already have a child, so we should get married. And we've already been together for 10 years. What? Like, here's the thing about that too. Niggas get way too comfortable. And she allowed that. She allowed that. And that is why he's acting like that. See, when men start conducting themselves in that way, you do have to pull away from them and pull the power dynamic back into your favor. Because when men start acting and see, the thing is like within the system of patriarchy, things are already skewed in men's favor. Okay. This is why we have this whole thinking, this whole ideology. This is why this whole setup of a man is supposed to like you more than you like him. That's why that thing exists. Not that I think that it's necessarily like you should be mistreating a man or you should be manipulative or anything like that. But you have to be very aware as a woman of the power dynamics that you are up against when you are dating a man. And the thing is, It took me too long to figure that out. It took me too long to figure it out. Even when you think it's a nice guy, even when it's the nicest man in the world, he could be the sweetest sweetheart, just a vanilla cupcake. He could be all of those things. But if for a second a man think that he has the drop on you, it's done. It's a wrap, my baby. So you have to do something to pull the power dynamic back into your favor. I listen, that's just how it is when you date men. I didn't make the rules. I didn't make the shit up. I didn't make the shit up. Hey, Killer Moon. Hi, Ailey X. Thank you so much for joining. That's just how it is. And I feel like women go too long in their relationships not pulling the power dynamic back into their favor, and these niggas run amok. And then they get because they've been running amok for so long, they get comfortable enough talking greasy. And when they start talking greasy is when I start to lose it a little bit. Now listen, I am a reformed pick me. I used to go through these struggles. So I think this is why it frustrates me so. This is why it frustrates me so, because I just don't want the women of 2026 to be going through these things. If I have any younger women on my channel, any women in their early 20s or just in their 20s, in their early 30s, whatever, younger than me, following me, come in close, my love. Let me pull you in close, my love. Okay. We need more material to help the girls rid themselves of that pick me spirit. It's just not enough material in these streets. Hey, Jamie. Thank you for joining. Please hit that like button for me as y'all come in the room, okay? The hype function should be available tomorrow. If you're catching the replay, I appreciate you. Happy Juneteenth weekend. Happy Pride-teenth weekend. Okay, happy Father's Day to y'all fine ass daddies and stepdaddies. Can we get it to 30 likes? Thank you, Jameer. I appreciate you. Okay. So there's my feelings about Alicia and her nigga. I want to talk a little bit about Rula and Brian in the same vein. Y'all, when they were sitting at that table, thank you so much, Jamie. I appreciate that. And that means so much more than you could ever know. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So Rula and Brian are sitting at this table, and they're playing this messy game. They're reading the messages off of the clamps. Y'all, when Brian sat up in Rula's face and he said out his mouth, out of those pasty pink lips, he said to that lady that he appreciated, or I'm paraphrasing, but he appreciated her giving up her ego for the family. She said, my ego. Yeah, bitch, your ego. He said, yeah, your pride. You sacrificed your pride for the family. She said, my pride. Yeah, bitch, your pride. Rula, y'all, the fact that he said it out his mouth, I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw up. I wanted to cry. I wanted to run out into the middle of the road and yell. I didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't know what the fuck to do. Y'all, this man said, you gave up your pride, your ego. These motherfuckers know exactly what the fuck they doing. and they know, excuse me, exactly what it is that you as a woman have to sacrifice to remain by their side. Ain't no way in hell a man should be able to sit up in your face and thank you for sacrificing your ego, your pride as a woman. Bitch, that's all you got in this world. I said, my God, today. No, we're talking about Real Housewives of Rhode Island, Rula and Brian, Rula and her husband. Matt, she wanted to whip his ass, but it's like, girl, you've been tolerating this, you've been enduring this, you've been taking up for him. Wow, this nigga has been playing the motherfucking fool. It's videos, it's pictures with timestamps. Y'all, you know that if you have an iPhone, right? If you take a picture with your iPhone, it will give you, it's the police. This right here, this device is the motherfucking police in your hands. If you know where to look and what to look for, this motherfucker is going to tell you the time. It's going to tell you the date. It's going to tell you where the fuck you was at. It's going to give you the location. It ain't no fabricating. Baby. Chauncey. He basically thanked her for lowering herself and being less than for him in the name of family. Nasty work. I said, baby, this is so nasty. I said, that's a nasty man. And what can I say? What else is there to be said? Because she's still laying up with a nigga. She's still sleeping with the enemy. Then we get all of the end credits, right? We roll through what, they give the little blurb at the end, the little screenshot, the little blurb, the little written right up, the little 2 sentences. So-and-so started a menopause gummy line. So-and-so, is dating these 2 niggas. So-and-so is doing that. Baby, they had to spin the block on motherfucking Rula because turns out her husband, the same nigga that's been cheating on her and running her raggedy, y'all, Rula was sick for at least 2 episodes, which for me she was probably sick for about 2 to 3 weeks, right? It's that nigga that was making you sick. It's the man. It's the man laying up in your bed. It's the nigga laying up in your house that's making you sick. Okay. They spin the block on Rula. The nigga is tracking. He put a tracking device on her car. Listen, Scotch Gang, let me tell you something right now. That's the one thing I don't play with or play about. Shouldn't nobody be stalking you, tracking you, knowing your every movement? That is very fucking dangerous right there, because what's the next step? In Rhode Island, it is classified under the bracket of domestic violence because that's what the fuck it is. Because that's what it leads to. Stalking and putting tracking devices on bitches' cars ain't nothing to motherfucking play with. That's the moment you need to be getting your motherfucking restraining order for you and your kids and everybody that you motherfucking love. Get me away from this nigga. It's not enough for him to cheat and humiliate you and drag your name through the streets and you allow him to cheat in peace and to fabricate stories on his behalf, and any evidence, anything that the ladies bring to you is AI, that's not enough. That's not enough. He got to stalk you and put a fucking tracker on your car too. The reason that it falls under domestic violence is because it's what it leads to. Niggas are not stalking you and tracking you for funsies. They're dangerous. They are a danger to you and your life. Wake up, bobblehead. I don't know what it's going to take for Rula, but y'all, that shit had me so shaken and stirred. I wanted to go out into the middle of the road and shout. I don't know what it's going to take for Rula. Mama needs an intervention, excuse me. Her head needs a shake. I don't know. I don't know what. Brian admitted to Joellen's husband in the same episode that he was having an affair. Akila Moon, can I just pull over on that for a second? Let me pull over. Because it was something that was pissing me off at the table. And, you know, Alicia was doing this thing where she's telling Joellen, what was she saying? She was just like, you know, you tell her that you didn't mean to hurt her. Tell her you didn't mean blah, blah, blah. Tell her you know, everything was being put off on Joellen. And I'm like, yes, I do feel like Joellen needed to let the mouse go. And at that point she had. But Brian is the cheater here. And I was so happy that Rosie was like, hold on, why is Joellen getting the heat when Brian is the motherfucking cheater? I said, Rosie, somebody with sense, please wake it up at the motherfucking table. Y'all, I wasn't understanding. Let me tell you something. Joellen's husband, I actually really appreciate him because I like his energy, because I do feel like the men need to have conversations with each other, right? They need to be checking each other. Don't say that my wife is lying or lying on you, because she's not lying. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad that this is the second episode where we see Gary is checking the shit out of Brian. I like Gary's energy. Do I think that Gary is fucking Joellen's sister? Yes. But I do like that Gary be with the shits. That's my type of nigga right there. Like, that's my type of carrying on. I always want to know, like, my nigga always got to be right there with me, ready to check the shit. That's what I like to see in a man. Okay? Don't talk no shit about my wife. Don't try to make her out to be a liar when you know you running the motherfucking streets. And Brian knew there wasn't nothing that he could say to that, because it's the truth. He's like, yeah, you know, I've been having some things. So how is my wife a liar? Hey, Tiki Tunisian. So yeah, y'all, those are my feelings on Rhode Island. I'm actually really looking forward to the reunion. We got part 1 coming up tonight. I was just so happy that it was capped at episode 12. I was like, oh, listen, I thought it was a great first season, but they could have probably did really like 11 episodes for me. Okay. It was starting to taper off, but overall a good season. You know what I'm saying? Do I think it needed to be on a Sunday night? I don't know. I just feel like our Sunday night should be kept black. Yes, perfectly paced, ended at the right time, get these girls in and out. We don't want the redundant storylines. Don't drag it out. Just let it be. They got renewed for season 2. Fabulous. Great. Okay. Now let's jump into Real Housewives of Atlanta. Real Housewives of Atlanta, darling. Now, a lot of you wanted me to cover Shamia's interview with Carlos King. From what I remember, it was like an hour and 42 minutes. Y'all, I didn't have an hour and 42 minutes of my life to give to that interview again. But I will talk about a couple of things that stood out to me. One thing that I'm really happy that Shamia cleared up was, this whole because we as the audience, we were like, what the fuck is the problem with Shamia not speaking up and just saying, I don't want to go through with this anymore about like having the son and like 5 rounds of IVF and like all of these egg retrievals and all of these things, this burden that is put on her body and all of these women's bodies, consequently or subsequently rather. She said that, Gerald is not going to leave me if, things don't happen in this exact way. I'm like, okay, adoption is on the table. Okay, great. What are we talking about? Why are you on my TV screen crying every other week and have been since last year? Please hit that like button for me, y'all. Can we get 40 likes? Do we have 40 likes? Baby, one thing about this NYX butter gloss, NYX is really that girl. This one, what flavor is this? Hold on, it's my glasses, child. Where is my, one thing about NYX, this is spiked toffee. My girl, okay? Hey, Mrs. Ginger Jordan, thank you so much for joining. Y'all, can we get it up to 40 likes? So, Real Housewives of Atlanta, Shamia, she also talked about, I talked about this in my last review. She talked about the moment with Kate Michelle saying that, I really want to be in an alliance with you and you shouldn't be, all of these different girls told me not to be friends with you and I want to be friends with you anyway. She kind of cleared up that moment. And she spoke to the fact that she was about to go out with Candy, and K Michelle was like, well, why didn't y'all invite me? I have never been a why didn't y'all invite me ass bitch. Like, and I will never be that girl. Like, if you don't invite me, you just don't invite me. I'm not asking you why. Like, I'm just never that pressed for an invite. My pride, my dignity would never allow me to ask a bitch that question. Even if, like, of course, like, yes, have there been moments where I felt left out of a situation and I was just like, wow, it would have been nice to be included in that, but would I ever say that? Fuck no. My shit is just set up different from a lot of people, apparently. Like, I have too much pride to say certain things sometimes, and I do consider myself to be like a pretty open and vulnerable person. But girl, what? I just don't know about that one. And the whole comment about Shamia's mother titties being pushed up into her chest, and then we look at the picture and Shamia's mother just has on like a white suit. Her titties are not pushed up into her chest. And K Michelle is like, well, I've never seen a mother like that before. K Michelle, you are that mother. No shade. I don't have any issue with those types of mothers, but you are that mother. So you try to paint somebody else's mother like that when you're that. I also wanted to speak to a little bit, um, you know, I feel like Shamia is kind of in an impossible situation, right? Because she came onto this show through Portia, right? And I was so glad that she talked about her history with Portia, because I was able to finally get some understanding about the history of this friendship. They had been friends since they were children, yes, but they did not establish their best friendship, becoming best friends, until what did she say? I think it wasn't until Portia got married to Cordell or until she got divorced. So it wasn't until much later, like well into their adulthood, do they become best friends. They kind of grew up around each other because their moms were good friends. So they would go to family trips. They would, they knew each other in school. They knew each other in, I think, junior high school, high school. They auditioned for some of the same things and this and that. But they had not become best friends until adulthood. So I was um pleasantly surprised and happy that she gave us a little bit more background on her relationship dynamic with Portia. I feel this way about Shamia. Do I think she's crass? Yes. Do I think she's cringe and corny? Yes. Do I think that she can be a little bit of a gutter snipe? Yeah, I do. I do. But I also feel like this season in particular, something that I'm noticing is because we have these clear alliances formed where it's this team versus that team, right? It feels almost as though if you are not on the side of the OGs with Portia, Phaedra, Cynthia, and Drew, who's kind of, I guess you could call her a veteran at this point, if you're not on that side, you are the enemy, right? So I just feel like Shamia, Kelly, Pinky, and K Michelle are kind of in a place where anything they do and say can and will be held against them on this show, because the fandom is so rabid. The fandom is so full of losers. The fandom is so up Portia and Angela's asses. It's wild to me. I'm like, where the fuck did Drew Sidora get all of these fucking fans? Y'all, you listen, I know I'm not crazy. I know I'm not crazy. I remember the way y'all used to drag Drew through the motherfucking mud, through the dirt. And now this year, because it's clear that she and Angela have some type of friendship, allyship, because they're both from Chicago. Now all of a sudden, Drew has all of these rabid ass fans. What the fuck is going on? You can't say anything against Angela or Portia without it being a thing. Or Cynthia, for that matter, because we got to include Cynthia, old lying, instigating, trifling ass. Like, Cynthia is very trifling to me in these past couple of seasons. And it's this, we're the OGs, so we're going to be loyal to each other no matter what. And that's just the air that it gives. And just to circle back to Shamia a little bit, I just feel like the way the fandom is piling on her, is she my favorite? Absolutely not. I really don't even care for Shamia all like that. I didn't care for Shamia back when she started. I tried to give Shamia a chance when she first came onto the show last year, because she was set up to be the anchor and to be like that girl, like the doll, the diva. But as time went on, I was reminded of why I didn't fuck with her in the first place. I still think that fair is fair. I think the way she's treated, the way everything is put off onto her is unfair. K Michelle has an issue with the group, and now y'all are making it like, oh, Shamia is telling K Michelle all of these things. We don't know that Shamia told K. Michelle anything. We don't know where K. Michelle is getting her information from. Another reviewer said he can pull up people's comments, and a lot of people that are caping for Drew this year were dragging her last season. Shante, I don't know if it's Shante or Shanti. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. That's the truth. That's the truth. Like, seeing the way people flip in the comment section is actually crazy. Now, listen, I understand that we all, you know, we all get new information. Our opinions can change and those things. And I'll come down and say, like, my opinion has changed. Y'all remember that I actually used to defend Drew because I felt like Drew came from this very religious background. She has no idea who she is as a woman. She has no identity as a woman, like as a person. You know what I'm saying? Like, she grew up a pastor's child, a pastor's kid. She grew up a child star. She has been yanked around her whole life. She doesn't know if she's coming or going. Then she gets into this stupid ass fucking marriage. She has a bunch of kids that she don't need to be having, right? It's very clear that within, the structure that she was raised in, her mom wasn't very present. Her sister kind of had to step in and help to raise her, right? So there's some fractured relationship with the mother. And then you see the mother is kind of a pick me. No shade. Your mom is a pick me. Because if your mother can sit up in your face in the first few episodes that were introduced to you all, y'all remember how Drew's mom was kind of like, you got to protect your marriage and the sanctity of marriage. Fuck what you're going through. Some people only give a fuck about marriage and getting into a marriage and staying in it because to them, a man and a marriage is the end all be all. It's like the ultimate, like, status signifier. Meanwhile, the niggas be dragging y'all down the steps, dragging the kids down the motherfucking steps. Y'all, why was Drew on Instagram sporting like a new, I guess, surgery, lipo 360, I guess it's called, where you get everything sucked out your stomach to kind of like give you this hourglass silhouette? I don't body shame the girls. That's not my thing. Y'all know I don't come down here and do that. It's just, everybody has different bodies, right? I still think it was the fool that Drew rolled her ass off that table and got somebody to record her from behind to try to stun on Kelly, like as if to say, kiss this ass. Mama, you needed some time to heal. Not only that, we're going into Drew. We're going into Drew right now. We're going into Drew's fuck shit. Not only that, you rolled your ass off that motherfucking surgery table instead of rolling your ass down to the motherfucking courthouse to see about getting full custody of your children because you presented to the judge that Ralph had been abusive to Josiah, and you have recordings, you have all of these things. How, if Ralph is abusive towards Josiah, did he get awarded full custody of the kids? Why the fuck do you, Drew, have to pay child support over $2,000 child support to a man? It's my understanding, and I could be wrong. I don't have children. I've never been married, thank God. So I really don't know a whole lot about this. I don't have baby daddy drama. I don't, when I'm done with a nigga, I'm done. Hello. But it's my understanding that family court tends to be skewed in a woman's favor. Jamie, same. Same. It's not. I just I just always thought that family court was skewed in a woman's favor. I've always, and I could be wrong, but I have this understanding that it's very, very hard to take children away from a mother. That's a myth. Okay, I'm willing to. We live in a system of patriarchy. We live in a very misogynistic world. I'm very okay with it depends on the jurisdiction. Okay. Okay, that's very fair. Georgia appears to have a whole other can of worms. Okay. Depends on the state. Okay. All right, y'all. All right. Depends on the state, depends on the situation, depends on the jurisdiction. It all depends. Okay. So I'm willing to admit that that is something that I have been ignorant about in the past. Now, with that being said, it's my understanding that the children were not getting to school. She also defied the judge's order, and that never goes over well. Chrissy, how did she defy the judge's order? Can you give me a little bit more information on that? Because I want to look into that a little bit more. I don't want to come off like I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. There are some details that may be a little bit fuzzy for me. Appreciate y'all for joining me on this good Sunday. Happy Sunday, y'all. Happy Juneteenth weekend. Happy Pride-teenth. Happy Pride. Happy Father's Day to y'all's fine ass daddies and stepdaddies, okay? It hits different when the mom is not given custody. Yo, 39 likes and 50 views is crazy. Y'all, we need 50 likes, y'all. No shade. Okay. Thank you, Jameer. She was supposed to have them in counseling and she never took them on top of not getting them to school on time. Wow. Um Now we did see a scene where the babies like were crying. They were kind of distraught and clearly in distress because they had not been seeing Drew. I don't fault Drew for that, for being a working mother, for being on the road. Um I think that that's challenging for anybody who travels for work, anybody in the entertainment industry. I think that we have heard so many stories, right? Where these kids grow up and they're like, my mom was always on the road and she had to sacrifice this and that for me. And, I completely understand that. Drew is a working woman. She has to do what she has to do. That being said, there is no reason that those kids should not have had arrangements to get to school on time, right? Because we watched the scene with Drew where she has everybody that works for her allegedly, a trainer, an assistant, a stylist, a driver, excuse me, two assistants. Did I say that? All of these people, 10 people sitting up on a couch are supposed to make up your team. I saw a couple of episodes ago where her chef, one of the chefs that presented the rainbow cake for Portia, this was the same chef that we saw years ago. I recognized her face, right? You mean to tell me that none of these people couldn't get to, drive those kids to school on time? That's just not making any sense to me. She had every profession on that team except nanny. Yes. Yes. And I think that that is kind of where the village would step in, right? Where you wouldn't need a nanny because there's so many motherfuckers around that the kids are considered and included. And I would imagine with 10 people on your staff, like somebody's looking out for the kids. I just feel like what else is the purpose of having all of these people around you if you're not going to get a little bit of help with your kids? I just thought that that was the point. Here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? Um the kids need to get to school. They they need to get to school and they need to get back home. Okay? So that's one thing in particular. The other element to that is getting them ready before school, right? So somebody needs, because they're still at that age where they need to be woken up. They need somebody to get them breakfast. I was a different type of child. I was a latchkey kid. Um, I'm 7 years older than my little sister. I was babysitting her. I was babysitting all of the kids in our little okay, so the way our apartment building was, right? You had two sides of the building. You had like A through L and then M through Z on the other side of the building, okay? So on my floor, you had my little sister, you had Barbara's kids, Adrian and Mandy, but Adrian was a little bit older, so I really used to watch Mandy. And then you had on the other side of the building, you had Dorette's kids, okay, Lilani and Imani. And Nicole was older. She was closer to my age. So sometimes we would get together and it would be all of us. Okay. So I was able to make some eggs, make grilled cheese, make bologna, fry bologna sandwiches. I was able to like put a hot pocket in the microwave, a toaster strudel moment. I knew how to order takeout, right? I knew how to go up the street and get, back in my day, you could make something shake with $5. You could go to the Chinese food restaurant and get like a 4-piece wings chopped up with some fries and a soda for $5. So we could make some things happen. You could get some fried rice for an extra dollar, some vegetable fried rice, some shrimp fried rice. I understand that these children growing up are not me. I understand that the times are different. And I'm glad that the times are different, in fact. When we was growing up, we kind of just did what we had to do. We just adjusted. But I was an eldest daughter. I didn't really have any choice. I had to hold shit down. I had to figure it out. There are so many adults around these kids where they wouldn't have to figure it out on their own. Jamie, you have me screaming. Miss Cookie Ray, listen, this was the reality for so many of us. Like, you had the neighbor's number written down on a notepad. You had your grandmother's number. You had so-and-so's number. And if you needed something, you could call any of those numbers. But we was holding it down and figuring it out. It's a little bit different for these babies these days. Again, I'm happy that it's different, but I'm just saying. There are so many adults around Drew that these kids would not have to they don't have to figure it out on their own, rather. The way I grew up, it's kind of like, niggas gotta go to work. It was kind of like a necessity thing. Yes. Cup Star Mania, we're gonna talk about it. Yes, 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 we're gonna talk about it. But I just feel like, y'all, I don't want to go into this whole thing of like, is Drew a trash mother? But the question has come into my mind. I just feel like you have too much in the way of resources for your children to be missing school. Claudia says, yep, grew up a latchkey kid. It made me the human I am today, a responsible human who can figure shit out. I'm not here to glorify being a latchkey kid. I think that is something that was just born out of necessity, right? We were getting out of school at a time where our parents were not getting out of work at the same time, and we just had to hold shit down, right? We kind of just had to figure it out. Shout out to those of us who just, we figured it out. We made the best of a situation that is not ideal. I don't blame any of our parents or that generation for kind of, I'm sure it wasn't easy to, have a key for your kid and just, have to trust that they was going to make it home. Like when I was growing up, I don't know if I'm sure a lot of y'all remember this, but they used to have commercials for us, like asking our parents, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? We didn't have cell phones until I was in high school. I got my first cell phone in high school. Like we were in the streets, y'all. Niggas didn't know where we were. And the thing is like the way my mom was, she was like, I need to know where you are. I need to map out your day. You're going to be at Anya's house. I need her mother's number. I would give her the number, but we'd still be running the motherfucking streets. Baby, we were in the, y'all think y'all be in the streets now? It wasn't no such thing as niggas knowing your location. What the fuck is that? Like turn on your location, like your friends knowing where you are, they could just check where you. It wasn't no such motherfucking thing. Do y'all understand that? That's what I want y'all to know. You had to catch niggas when they was at home. You had to call niggas on the house phone. And if you was bold enough, leave a voicemail. Because I wasn't paying the phone bill. So you was leaving a voicemail on my mother's phone for me. Hello? I remember the time before we had caller ID. And shit used to just go to voicemail. This was how we were screening calls. Shit would just go to voicemail, and then you could listen on the. We had it was like on a cassette. You had to play. You had to record. It had to be recorded. Hello. The rule of thumb for me growing up was be back in the house before the streetlights come on. This is not that time. Why Drew kids can't get to school on time? Y'all know? Y'all know what time it is in the comments. Y'all around my age and older. Some of y'all, that is. Hey, Dr. Jen. What's up, babes? We couldn't use the house phone while we were using the internet. Listen, it was a wild time. So I just don't understand why it is that Drew's children couldn't get to school. Now, it was a little different for me. You know, I grew up in Brooklyn. I could walk to school. I lived in a place where I could walk to not only my middle school, and then eventually I was walking distance from my high school as well. So it really wasn't no type of like, nobody wasn't tripping off of getting me to school, you know, back home, nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? I was like within walking distance. And I lived in a walkable city. But my point is, you have so many people around you. You have 10 niggas on your team. You have a personal driver. A couple of episodes ago, didn't Drew pull up to the scene where she was driving and her driver was in the passenger seat? Happy early birthday, Dr. Jen. Happy early birthday to you. Yes, those were the days, honey. Street light meant it was too late. And when the street lights came on, it was time to go back home. The day was over, and you repeated it every single day. Exactly. Exactly, honey. It's a different time. That's the thing that was the point I wanted to make here. I wanted to illuminate. It's just not that. It's not that, Drew. I think that, you know, the babies, they should be coddled, they should be cared for in a certain way. You know, they deserve the utmost care when it comes to their, you know, their concerns when it comes to getting to school and their recreational activities. If they're not getting to school on time, like, do they have extracurricular activities? Do they have like the ballet and the football and whatever? What are they doing? I'm sure they have after school things. I had dance class. I had, you know, step practice. I had things that I needed to be at after school. So I don't understand like what this is for these people. Did she think that Ralph was going to help? You know, the thing is, at first I did drag Ralph a little bit about that, because I'm just like, if Ralph is in the basement, why are the kids not getting to school? But if they have an arrangement where he has them for a certain amount of days and they're getting to school on time on those days and they're not getting to school on time on Drew's days, I don't know what Ralph is doing on those days. I don't know what he has going on, right? But it is Drew's responsibility to make sure that the kids need to be where they're supposed to be on time. They want the kids at home 18 hours in now, no third community spaces now. This is such a great point, actually. I'm glad that you brought this up, Bio Miss Flores. I do think that the kids and the teenagers of today are kind of in a weird spot, right? Because I feel like so much content is geared towards adults, so much music, so much TV. Like, are there, like, when we were growing up, right? We had like the teenage groups, the teenage shows. We had all that. We had Teen Summit on BET. We had Lil Bow Wow. We had B2K. We had like 3LW. We had the adolescent things. We had the junior section, the junior department, right? We had when I was growing up in Brooklyn, we had Teen Night at Empire, the skating rink. Rest in peace to Empire. Okay. In the Bronx, I know y'all had Skate Key. Shout out to Skate Key. You know, I'm not a uptown girly. I'm a Brooklyn girly, so I don't know nothing about that. I've never been to Skate Key, but we had Empire. Okay. You know, when I moved from Brooklyn to Dallas for my sophomore year, um, in high school, we had Venice Beach. We had our little teen club, we had teen nights, we had things, we had third spaces, places for us to go. And I just don't know, because I see all of these fucking weird ass adults going into Chuck E. Cheese's and trying to reclaim their inner child. And it's like, I understand this need, this want, this desire to engage or be in touch with your inner child. I just don't feel like you should be in children's spaces doing that with your drunk, grown, high ass. You know, go to the fucking park and have a day with your friends. You know, rent out a venue with your own friends. You know, like, don't be weird. I feel like a lot of adults, it's just like a weird entitlement. You know what I'm saying? But I agree with that. I don't feel like there are a lot of third spaces for kids. Like, third space meaning like, you know, there's school, there's home, and then there's like another space. Like, for us growing up, I lived not too far from a park. You know, sometimes we went to King's Plaza a lot. We would ride the bus up to King's Plaza, the mall. There's a mall in Brooklyn. We would go downtown Brooklyn. There was another mall, Albee Square Mall. Like, we had things to do. We had shit to get into as children. So I don't know, y'all. Like, the whole situation with Drew and Ralph, like, I hate to see a woman having to pay child support to a man. Like, I just feel like that's crazy. But also, I have to question, I'm like, is Drew doing what she needs to do as a mother? Like, where are your priorities? I just feel like you, why didn't we see? Because with Drew in this season, particularly, we are not seeing any of Drew's life play out on the show. We're seeing Drew's life play out on the back end on social media. This is not happening on the show. So the fact that we're not seeing your actual life happening on the show, we're seeing you fucking around with Shamia and being in people's business, right? Windmilling with K Michelle and all of this other shit. When what we should be seeing is you windmilling in the courts for your children. But you strutting down the street trying to stunt on Kelly. You just got a ruling that your kids got taken away from you and that you got to pay this nigga $2,000 a month in child support. And you want to stunt on Kelly. You're arguing back and forth with Kelly online. I don't know, y'all. Something about that. It's just like, I can't fuck with Drew. All right. I feel like that's what I have to say about Roa. I feel like that's what I have to say about RHOA. Drew picking on those weaker than her. 100%. 100%. You know, she is with the in crowd. She's with the cool girls now. And now she has to villainize Shamia because I noticed that. I don't know how to say this name. Is it Dothy? Dodothy. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. They gave us no after show for RHOA. I noticed that. We didn't get one. Kelly's husband is a psychopath. Yeah. Oh, Dorothy. It says DOD. Okay. All right, y'all. I wanted to talk a little bit about really quickly All Stars 11, RuPaul's Drag Race. Are y'all watching this season of Drag Race All Stars? I have really been enjoying it. I felt like the first bracket was cool, second bracket, cool. Now the third bracket, that is the third bracket for me. Okay. As the third bracket came in, I noticed that the energy of these girls, I immediately got acclimated. To what these girls were bringing to us. I want to give a huge shout out to everybody in the third bracket. It's going to sound so mean if I say give a huge shout out to everybody except for this person, because it's just like full disclosure. Okay, I just want to talk in general. When it came to these Drag Race girls and everybody who was being introduced to us for All Stars 11, I didn't give a fuck about Sugarcane. I didn't give a fuck about Dawn. And I didn't give a fuck about who's the other one. Who's the Asian one from the second bracket where they were a part of the Punani Peck Peck Alliance? I didn't give a shit about her either. It was Selena Estedes, and is she Filipino? Is she sorry if I'm fucking that up, y'all. I'm not trying to be culturally, ethnically insensitive. My Miss Flores, you have me screaming. You're loving the third bracket. Let me tell you something. It's the third bracket for me. And I just want to speak to this a little bit, okay? When Sugarcane came in there and said that she's aging backwards, I said, Sugarcane, no, ma'am. You're not aging backwards, mama. You look every bit of, I don't know how old Sugarcane is. She might be 45. She looks every bit of 45. She might be 50. She looks every bit of 50. It's okay to age and get older. Like, you don't look, she just mentioned in this past episode, like, it's giving 27. I'm very fertile. Bitch, you don't look 27, mama. You don't. So stop it. But I just wanted to speak a little bit to this last episode. Juneteenth. It dropped on Friday. It drops every Friday, okay? Now, I wasn't home for Juneteenth. I was running the streets. Shout out to D. Renee. She organizes a lot of like queer events in the DMV. So shout out to her. I was able to make it to another one of her events, excuse me. She's wonderful. Okay. But I was out at a little queer, like in the park. I don't want to say picnic because that has racist roots. Gathering. Okay. It was very nice. It was lovely. You know, we ended up going to a bar afterwards. La 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 la. Came home Saturday to catch up on my stories, Beyond the Gates, and Drag Race. I was really, really impressed with bracket 3 because I was like, oh, I love all of these girls except for Sugarcane. Joey J, I didn't remember a whole lot about them from their season, but they're turning out to be like one of my favorite queens because they're so fucking funny and everything that comes out of their mouth just has me cracking up laughing. But I just want to hone in on this moment with Kennedy Davenport and Hershey Liqueur. I'll get Hershey out of the way first because, just to do it the easy way. I'm happy that Hershey is getting kind of like her redemption arc, redemption story. I think she's a very talented, a very talented queen. I think she deserves it. She was the pork chop of her season. She was the first one out. So I'm happy to see that these girls come back in here and get to get a full shake. They are not eliminated from episode to episode. We get to spend 3 episodes with them and get to see what they really can do, how much they have changed, all of those things. Okay, Joey's very funny. Joey's one of my favorites from this bracket. So I'm really happy to see Hershey getting a redemption arc. Biomas, I agree with that. But y'all, can I talk about Kennedy Davenport for a second? Can I stand actually? Y'all, this lip sync between Kennedy Davenport and Hershey Liqueur Jeté. This is one of the best drag race performances I have ever seen. And I say this as somebody who has been watching Drag Race. Now I feel like everybody has a season that they came in on. My season was season 5. Alyssa Edwards, Coco Montrese, Jinx Monsoon, Jade Jolie, Detox, the girls. I came in season 5 and I had to work my way backwards. I have been watching Drag Race for a very long time. This is one of the best. This will go down in the history books in terms of Drag Race performances. Period. It was season 9 for you. Remind me, who was in season 9? Was that the season with Bob? No. Was that the season with Violet and Katya? I can't remember who all was in season 9. So give me some of the girls from season 9. Y'all, let's talk about it. This was kind of like a spoken word type of performance, okay? Before they even got onto the stage and RuPaul is announcing the top 3, before we even get there, y'all, we're getting like the previews for like, at the very beginning of the episode, it's like RuPaul's Drag Race. And then we get like who's going to be the guest judge. And it was Brian Tyree Henry. I don't know what it is about that man. I have had a crush on him for years. I love Brian Tyree Henry. I just love him. Everything I've ever seen him in, I'm like, he's amazing. He's amazing. He'd be dressing his ass off. But then I see him in the previews and I was like, I didn't know that he was a Drag Race fan. I didn't know that he was a part of that world. I didn't know that he knew what was going on. I feel like I'm jumping all over the place and I'm so sorry, y'all. Did I watch Drag U University? I watched a little bit of it. I watched bits and pieces, like an episode here and there, but I wasn't a huge fan of it. I didn't really love it. I'm not like the episodes where the girls have to do makeovers. I'm not like a huge fan of those episodes. Like the drag family resemblance, I don't love those episodes. But the one from this season, I really did enjoy. I did. Okay, Alexis, Michelle, Anja, and Valentina, and Peppermint. Okay, that is a really good season to come in on because Aja cut up that season. So we had some very iconic moments from that one. But so okay, I feel like I'm jumping all over the place now, okay? So let me just I'm setting it up. I'm very excited that Brian Tyree Henry is going to be on there because I love him. I love him down, okay? That's my crush. He's one of my crushes. Um So we go through the episode, cool, 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 cool. Like the girls do a really good job. The actual challenge was a rap roast. I felt like Joey did really good. Well, Joey was one of my favorites. Kennedy was another one of my favorites, and so was Hershey. The rest were like whatever. Joey had great punchlines, but the black women brought the swag. And for a rap roast, it would not have been right for Joey to be in the top because, y'all, the way Kennedy even came down the platform to rap, to do her roast, she came down patting her weave. And it was at this moment that I realized she had grills on, she had bottoms on. I said, bitch. She had one of those 90s updos. It was a half up, half down. And by the end of her rap, she turned around and she twerked and she popped. Kennedy understands the assignment every time. Okay. Can I just say this and just, I'm getting off topic a little bit because I'm a little bit all over the place, but in this conversation of drag race girls and the girls that RuPaul keeps bringing back, I don't need to see Ginger Minge on my screen ever again. She already won. Good riddance. Love Raja. I don't need to see her again. Love me some Roxy Andrews. Do I need to see her again? No. Kennedy Davenport is one bitch y'all can always bring back to my TV. Kennedy Davenport is one queen y'all can always bring back for another round. I don't give a fuck what nobody says. There is nothing that you can say to me about Kennedy Davenport. Y'all, they're announcing the top three. It's Joey J, it's Hershey, and it's Kennedy. At this point, I'm looking at Kennedy's makeup and I say, bitch. Y'all, Kennedy's makeup, her lipstick was smeared all the way across her face. If you go to the RuPaul's Drag Race channel, you can view. You don't need a Paramount Plus account. If you would just like to see the performance, you can go onto YouTube and you can see the performance with Hershey and Kennedy. Hey, Rich, thank you so much for joining and thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you, babe. Thank you. Y'all, when I saw Kennedy's makeup, I said, she is about to act a fucking fool. She's about to tear this shit up. I had to pause. I said, bitch, let me get my beverage. When a bitch can make you stop and say, let me get my beverage, because I know she about to cut up. Y'all, this was performance art. This was theater. This was camp. This was Black pride. This was Black excellence. This is one of the best performances I have ever seen on Drag Race, period. It's very rare that we get like a kind of spoken word type of song. We did get one at some point. I can't remember what it was. It was Monet Exchange and somebody else the night the lights went out in Georgia. Listen, for that to be the Pride-teenth, the Juneteenth episode, for that to have dropped on Juneteenth, I'm not even trying to be dramatic, but I was in here crying. I shed a tear. I shed a tear. I was so verklempt. I was so overcome with emotion. There was nowhere else for the emotion to go because I just knew I was watching the work of a genius. I was watching the work, of somebody who has put so much time, so much thought, so much energy and effort into the craft. Do you know how much work? Do you know how many hours you have to put in to make your shit look effortless in the way that Kennedy Davenport was able to do? It was theater, it was camp, it was drag, it was Black excellence. It was everything, y'all. Even if you don't watch Drag Race and you're catching the playback, go get your Black ass life. Go get your Black ass life and watch Kennedy Davenport versus Hershey LaCourgette. Now, Hershey, I think she did a decent job, but I was just like, why does the camera keep panning to Hershey only and not towards Kennedy? There should have been like at least some panoramic view. I needed to see every bit of what Kennedy was doing. And I was just like, there's no way that Kennedy doesn't know all the words because, okay, when you know a song, right? And you love a song, you know every ad lib, you know every beat, you know every change in the record. The way Kennedy was throwing her head back and ad libbing on the beat of the song was how I knew that she knew the record very well. I need to get further into this moment. I need to hear Kennedy talk about this. I want to know, did she know this record prior to getting the assignment? Because it just gave me this moment of like, she was just living it. She was living within the music. Like, sometimes you can look at a performer and you can tell like they're inside the beat of that song. They're in that record. They're existing inside of it. They've lost it. They've disconnected from that piece of reality that makes them them, and they're that character. That was how I felt about Kennedy's performance. It was every motherfucking thing to me. It was everything. That being said, ooh, I've been running my mouth for an hour and a half. Oh my God. That being said, please check out the RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars 11 Kennedy Davenport lip sync. You will get your Black ass life. You would get your life. It was fabulous. It's one of the best things I ever seen. I watched it I watched it back 3 times today. Like, I watched it yesterday, and then today I had to watch it back 3 more times. Brian Tyree Henry was such a fabulous judge. He's so cute. He's so sweet. And you could tell, like, he really enjoyed being there, and he has reverence for the art form. He has respect for the queens. I just, that's a Black king right there. That's a Black king right there. Okay? Now, I want to get into my Black spiritualist shout outs. Okay? For Juneteenth, for Prideteenth. I have all of these incredible, very talented, beautiful women linked in the description. Okay? I have everybody linked. But I want to start with Juju. And the reason that I'm starting with Juju is because I want to read a little bit of something from her book. Okay. The Book of Juju, Africana Spirituality for Healing, Liberation, and Self-Discovery by Jujubae. Now, I did mention this a couple of reviews ago that I wanted to give some shout outs to Black spiritualists that have helped me in my journey when it comes to just getting to know my ancestors and diving a little bit deeper into Black traditions. Okay. Black African based traditions. I got really curious about that maybe around, I would say 2016, 2017. And it's been a really beautiful and rewarding, very interesting journey for me, exploring, the space of African-based spirituality. So listen, I know that there are a lot of taboos around ancestral connections. I know that there's a lot of demonization, a lot of confusion around our traditions as Black people. But I feel this way. I think that if you are Black, if you have Black ancestry, if you want to be connected to your Blackness, I think that you should be reading this book. I think that this is just like one of the most important books written, period. I know that that's like a very hefty statement to make, but it's honestly how I feel. I do want to read an excerpt for you all. I don't listen. I understand that colonization has done a number on our people, especially those of us who come from a Christian background. So I just wanted to start off with chapter 5, what is ancestral veneration? And I'm going to read a little bit of chapter 6 as well, which is why does ancestral veneration matter? So I'm going to get into that, and then I'll talk about the girls, the resources for you to get deeper into your practice. If you would like to know yourself deeper through your own traditions, through your own ancestors, this is the conversation for you, okay? So, chapter 5 of the Book of Juju, it starts with what is ancestor veneration. To put it simply, ancestor veneration is the process of giving reverence to the deceased who still have the ability to influence and intervene in the affairs of the living. Veneration, however, is not worship. As Olowu Jogobudu Oromila, an elder in the Yoruba, I'm sorry if I butcher that, an elder in the Yoruba tradition states, in the Yoruba culture, we pay homage to the people before us. We don't worship them. As a matter of fact, worshiping in the Abrahamic context is very alien to Yoruba culture. This is critical to understand because the word worship is often used to describe the actions of those who practice ancestral ancestral spiritualisms when they are honoring ancestors. Worship often has a connotation of fully submitting to something as a godlike figure. Please understand when I say that the ancestors are not gods. The ancestors are also not God. The ancestors did not necessarily create the moon and the sea. The ancestors are, the ancestors are our ancestors, and they deserve a rightful and honorable position in our lives. I love the concept of ancestral veneration because it allows us to find the power and honor with spirits that are not God. If we are socialized through Western religion, we often only trust God, talk to God, and feel that only this outside all powerful male entity can understand us. Conversely, when venerating ancestors, we can connect with multiple spirits that love and support us. We can find protection not only outside ourselves, but within our own bodies, the trees outside our homes, the flowers we pass on the way to work, and the beach that we visit on vacation, because our ancestors live in the natural world. Ancestral veneration also gives me the ability to have more compassion for humanity, as our ancestors were once human and still managed to sacrifice for us through their own personal trials and issues. The godliness that we seek is not only found in a God, but in our everyday lives, situations, and the people around us. This to me creates a more holistic understanding of the spirit world and how its holiness penetrates every aspect of our lives. Let us continue to find space to venerate more than one powerful, all knowing God, and also honor the spirits that live in us too. That in itself has helped me understand God much more deeply. Okay. Hey, Apple Charm. So that was a bit of chapter 5. I want to talk a little bit about chapter 6 because chapter 6 I feel really shook the table. She has the audible version of this. You can listen. She actually dictated this book, and I'm very grateful for that because I love to hear um the authoress, excuse me, hello, shout out to Maya Wilkes, the authoress's words through her own voice. Okay, so let me just talk a little bit about chapter 6. Again, I have everything linked in the description. This is by Jujubae. And then I'll talk a little bit about Juju and then the girls, and then we'll go forward. Okay, this is chapter 6. This chapter is called Why Does Ancestral Veneration Matter? She starts by saying, if I can channel my inner Hotep for 1 second, I'd love to briefly get this out of the way. Why do you think society has hidden your ancestral traditions from you? Why do you think that greater society has erased thousands of years of indigenous ancestral wisdom? Why do you think oral tradition and history has been seen as less valid forms of information and sharing? Why, when you think of science, do you think of white men in lab coats and not melanated people using binary coding and mathematics of probability through throwing shells or coins? Who told your auntie that you're practicing witchcraft because you saw a psychic or even stopped going to church? Whom does this viewpoint benefit, and is it you? You have to see where I'm going with this. As we will discuss later in this book, colonialism has done a number on Black folks and subsequently all of us. The demonization of Black ancestral practices was deliberate and ongoing. Spiritual communication, ancestral veneration, divination, and sacrifice had to be degraded in order to successfully control and subjugate a group of people. People who are sure about who they are, who are spiritually and emotionally well resources, are not good candidates for enslavement and colonialism. Stripping people from what connected them to their source and each other was a necessary move in the intricate strategy of imperialism, and it worked very well. The value of your ancestors was degraded, while other folks' ancestors who were not yours were prioritized. Have you ever spent $1 before? Of course you have. And if you look at most forms of currency, not just in the United States, there is often an image of somebody dead on that money. George Washington's face graces the $1 bill. Abraham Lincoln is on the penny. Andrew Jackson is on the $20 bill. This form of memorializing all of these dead white men, this form of memorializing all of these dead white men is America's way of venerating America's ancestors. Did y'all catch that? These men are actively being exalted by having their faces and names all throughout United States currency, which are among the most coveted items in the world. Now, I'm not related to them. In fact, I hardly think about those whose face on the bill I have to spend. But this is one of those ways in which ancestral veneration is pervasive in our society. And not only that, it sends a clear message about the kinds of ancestors that are worthy of being venerated. Dead white men on money means something to the collective consciousness. The energies of these particular people are being exalted to the highest degree. Yet these folks have very complicated, even horrific histories that I really don't want to uplift. Some of these folks are known slave owners, yet we all have consented to engage in the gift of exchange with these white men that have been deemed some of the most important ancestors of America. I often think about the number of dead folks whose names ring bells because they have been deemed important enough to learn about in educational systems and throughout our cultural history. Their energies and spirits get to experience the process of elevation, a coveted desire of many spirits. I often wonder how different our society would be if we venerated our own spirits with the same fervor and dedication as the people like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. Ancestral veneration is not completely new to you. Even if you've never used this kind of term, you've acknowledged and regarded someone who has died. You have also participated in ancestral veneration through learning about someone's legacy, witnessing someone be inducted into a hall of fame, or running in a marathon named after one of the kindest nuns in your school. Ancestral veneration is everywhere, which means that ancestors are everywhere. It really doesn't take a psychic to rely on the importance of ancestors as a society. On a basic level, so much of our surface level daily thoughts and routines are because of the acts of some dead folks. Even the laws to which we are bound as communities are often reflections of a tradition of a specific community that has been enacted by a bunch of dead people. Did y'all catch that? Traditions are valuable, yet the amount of veneration to spirits who may not have had my identity or yours in mind creates an imbalance. I'd like to see more spirits who look like me, talked like me, and who were groundbreaking in their respective spaces, honored and valued consistently like other folks. I truly think this would provide an energetic shift that could bring some intentional harmony to the world. It is clear through all these examples that we know ancestors are important and that their legacy impacts our lives. But now, what will we do with that information? Whom will we choose to venerate? Jujubae is a badass bitch. Every woman I'm about to list, every woman that I'm about to name on this list is a badass bitch. But this book right here, when I finally started to get into this book, I said, my God, today. She is so thorough. She gives you a little bit of personal stories, some personal anecdotes, right? She comes from a Catholic background, okay? My mom went to Catholic school growing up, okay? Those of you who are Catholic and understand those traditions, it's the same damn thing, right? So if you grew up in a Catholic household, a lot of the things that you are already doing are kind of informing the same ways in which you would go on to honor or venerate your ancestors. This book has everything. If you are Black, if you have Black ancestry and you give a fuck about your Blackness, if you're not a coon, okay, this book is for you. I feel like every Black person who exists needs to read this book. I just do. I think that this is required reading for every nigga. So shout out to Jujubae. I'm not finished with this book. I think that it's one of those books that you kind of have to you got to take your time with it. You got to take your time with it and really go through it and dissect it. So that is the first person that I wanted to give a huge shout out to. Shout out to Jujubae. I have all of her information linked in the description. You can go to her website and you can book her for a reading. She does ancestral readings. She is a medium. I'm almost pretty certain that everybody I have on this list is a medium. So if you do need an ancestral reading, you can definitely reach out to them, for something deeper. Juju has a YouTube channel. You can find her on YouTube. She's a wealth of information on her podcasts. She is brilliant. She's so smart. I mean, just on some scholarly shit. Okay, she can really, really break it down. And that's how she broke it down in this book. She gives definitions. She gives timelines. She gives all of the things. Okay. Again, all of the information is linked in the description. Book her for a reading. She also offers a hoodoo class, if I'm not mistaken. The class, I can't remember how much it costs, but she also offers scholarships. Like, the girl is serious about her shit. She is a legitimate, trusted resource to many, including myself. And I wanted to say this too. I didn't want anybody to take this as shade. If you don't hear your favorite spiritualist being shouted out, and I have 5 people on the list, Jujubae on YouTube, I did a quick search. Yeah. So Jujubae, boom. This is her on YouTube. If you just search Jujubae, okay, you'll be able to find her. I just wanted to say this is not shade. If I didn't shout out your favorite Black spiritualist, I just wanted to more so shout out the people that I personally have interacted with. I have some type of rapport with them. I have some type of personal relationship with them. That's why I'm presenting this list to you all. You know what I'm saying? And I just didn't want it overwhelmed with too much information. So yeah. All right. So the next person that I wanted to shout out on my list here is Sope. Oh, I should mention this about Juju. Juju is also an Oshun priestess. I don't know what it is about Oshun's daughters, but I love them and they love me. Okay, so I happen to know a lot of Oshun priestesses, a lot of the girls. So Juju is definitely an Oshun priestess. I wanted to make sure I put some respect on her name. I didn't want that to get overlooked. Okay, so this next spiritualist that I wanted to give a shout out to, her name is Sope. She's also an Oshun priestess. I have her Instagram linked. I'm gonna type in here her Instagram in case you want to look her up. The Lavender Ia. Okay. Now, I personally have gotten a reading from Sope. She is wonderful. She's legitimately one of the funniest people that I follow online. She's very thorough. She also doesn't play. She does um she does readings. So if you need like a personal consultation, if you're having an issue, if you have something that's going on and you need some ancestral wisdom, you can definitely go to her. Any of these people, by the way, that I'm naming, you can go to for an ancestral reading. Okay. I just wanted to let you know a little bit about what they offer. Now, Juju, if you watching this, sister girl, I don't know if you ever want to offer products again. I remember you saying it's not really your thing, but if you ever want to offer up that bless up oil, sister, you got a customer in me. You got a customer in me. But back to Sope. She does offerings of soaps. She has oils and she has baths. Her baths come with instructions on her website. So you do need to go to her website and read the bath instructions. They do have taboos, right? So the taboos, for example, would be you can't smoke or you can't drink or you can't have sex, you can't masturbate or be on your period when you are taking these baths for a certain amount of days. Okay. So I would advise that you read the instructions on her website. She also recently dropped a workbook about ancestral veneration. So if you're one of those people where you're like, I know I need to start my altar, I need to engage my ancestors in a certain way, I need to figure out this relationship, I need to at least start somewhere, the ancestral workbook is for you. The book of Juju is for you. Okay. Sope she's incredible. She's amazing. Go and get the things. You can also get, I'm almost pretty certain if you need like a personalized bath or personalized oil or soap, she can make one of those for you. Okay. Again, I'm shouting out the people that I trust and have worked with personally. So that's why I'm doing this list in the way that I'm doing it. It is no shade to any of the Black spiritualists out there. I would be on here all day for real if I'm really, really getting into it. I could name 20 bitches that y'all could go to. I could maybe even do a part 2. Not bitches in a derogatory sense, okay? Y'all know how I talk. Y'all know how I get down. Okay, so I have all of Sope's information linked. She goes by the Lavender Ia, thelavenderia.com/shop. And then you can find her workbook. You can find her products. I wanted to give you guys like a good list of like people that you can engage their work. You can, get product if you need it. And then like they're also like a resource for information. So I just wanted to make sure. Okay. Let's do Myesha next. So Myesha, let's do Myesha. I'm gonna put her website down here. cognacxconjure.com. Oh wait. Let me do it like this. The Lavender Okay, so the lavender ear is Sope. So anybody catching the replay, I just wanted to make sure y'all know who's who. It's not confusing. So the lavender ear is Sope. And then my next girl who's up is Myesha. Myesha, she spells her name a little bit different. Hold on, y'all. My bad. This is how she spells her name on Instagram. Myesha, and then she puts an X in there. You know, Auntie got to make sure she got the things right. And then I'm going to put her website, Cognac X Conjure. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So, Myesha, let's talk about this diva for a little bit. So I discovered Myesha maybe around 2020, maybe a little bit before that. She does Myesha Mondays. Myesha Mondays is where she goes live every Monday, and she basically will either answer your questions about Black spirituality and conjuration and ancestral veneration, or what she'll do is she will bring her own topic du jour and nerd out about it. Myesha is kind of like a walking encyclopedia. There has rarely been a time where somebody asked her a question and she was not able to give them an exact, precise timeline, historical definition. Like if you ask Myesha a question, she can give you a historical timeline to your answer. She can go like back to the year that it was originated. She can give you names. She's a historian. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's how deep in the tradition she is with it. I think some people's brains just work with that. They just have that type of photographic memory where they will remember every detail, every line from a book. She's like that. Myesha Mondays. So drop in on Mondays to get some game from her. I just have her notifications on my phone. So when she's going live, I know what's going on and I can just jump in there and catch the conversation. Now, she is a medium as well. I don't know that she offers readings at the moment. I think she does every once in a while. But I do know that she is in the Atlanta, Georgia area, and that every once in a while she and her godmother offers like a misa, aka it's a mass in Spanish. So they do misas where you can get together in a group and they'll kind of do like a group reading and they'll do like an ancestral reading, like, or whatever the case is. Ooh. I will put Sope's information in the chat right now. Hold on. The lavender. Sorry about that, y'all. I also have it linked in the description, but this is Sope's information. thelavenderia.com. And then let me put her Instagram up here too. Sorry about that, y'all. Okay, here she is. Here is Sope's. Yay, I'm so glad, Brooklyn Rose. I'm so happy that, y'all are enjoying this chat and the resources that I'm providing. So this is Sope's information. Once again, thelavenderia.com, also Instagram.com/thelavenderia. Y'all can, reach out to these people, and, if you need readings or the things, whatever it is, just let them know Bonnie Scott sent you, unless you're being weird. Don't go over to any of these women on some colonized weird shit. Like, if you on your Christian bullshit, like, I understand that everybody needs their time to like come out of that Christian cult indoctrination. I understand that, but don't go to these women on no bullshit talking about Bonnie sent you. You get what I'm saying? Like, don't embarrass my name. So that's for Sope. And thank y'all so much for joining the chat and just being open to the experience. So many of y'all have actually reached out in the comments and said that y'all wanted me to provide these resources when I started talking about ancestral veneration. So I'm happy to provide these resources as well as have the conversation. Did I put Myesha's stuff in the chat? Did I? Okay. So yeah. Myesha, if you search Instagram.com/this name right here, MYESHXA, you'll find her. And you'll also find her website where she has her products. cognacxconjure.com/shop. I really kind of just wanted to get more into, I know you're not a weirdo, babes. Not you, baby. Some weirdos jumped out in the comments. It definitely wasn't you, okay? But I specifically wanted to shout out Myesha. I don't know that she offers readings all the time to the general public, but what she does offer to the general public is fabulous, okay? Now, if you go to her website, which is Cognac X Conjure, sorry, let me put it back up here. If you go to cognacandconjure.com, you will find an array of incredible products, okay? So she has a lot of different oils that you can work. She has soaps, and she has a soap that I just copped and it sold out. Okay, shout out to me. So she has soaps, she has some oils, she has a body polish, body scrub. She also has a mercury dime anklet here, like a jewelry offering, like for protection. She has rue vinegar. She has Chinese floor washes, money charms. A lot of these things are sold out. The thing with Myesha is, like, if you see something on her site that you want, you should get it and get it in the moment, because it will likely sell out. I have every one of Myesha's products except for, I don't have the mercury dime anklet. I do got to get my hands on one of those, but I feel like I have everything of hers. I don't have the black salt. I never got the black salt, but all of her conjure oils, baby, I have every single one of them. And there's only one of them that I don't have, which is the Three Kings anointing oil. I recently copped that. Okay. Now, I don't have the Three Kings oil, but I feel like because I don't have it, and because I think I have an idea of how to work it, right? Just based on the way she's talked about it. The way she described the Three Kings oil is like, if you have like a lot of church folks in your family, or like church elders, you know how like church women are kind of gossipy, and they're like very good at selling things. They're amazing, incredible saleswomen. Three Kings anointing oil has that energy of like your well-meaning elderly church auntie who, like, if you had like a candy sale or whatever, they was going to help you sell your stuff. They was going to help, you know what I mean? So that's the energy that I get from it. Of course, like, I can't speak 100% to it, but Myesha can speak to her product. So if you ever join her for a Myesha Monday, you can definitely go in and ask her in the questions box, ask her about her products, read the reviews, read what people have to say in the Instagram comments about how they might have worked something, how it might have worked for them, etc. Loving this extended live, keeping me company on my bike commute to work. Be careful out in them streets, Uptown Alley Cat. Be careful out in them streets, but I'm so happy that you're enjoying this extended live. Child, she been running her mouth for 2 hours, honey. Okay. But I have everything except for that 3 Kings, and I feel like for some reason, the one that I don't have, the one oil that I was like most intimidated by is probably the one that I need the most. So I'm really excited to get 3 Kings oil in the mail. Everything she has on here, I've tried all of her products. They have all been legit. They've all moved for me. The Myesha's 24 karat money drawing oil is what I got introduced to her through. Fabulous. Now, back when I got introduced to Myesha, the oil was only like, I think it was like $30. The price went up on the girls. And I understand it. I ain't mad at it. Listen, you got to do what you got to do. It's legit and it's worth it. And when you get that money oil, it will pay for itself. Okay. Now, when you go to Myesha's website, along with working the money oil or any of her road opening things, or because a lot of her things are for attraction and sweetness and money and the things that we need. There on her website is a prayer. Let me go to the prayer. She offers a prayer for the girls. Let me see if she even still has it. What? Yeah, blog. Yep, she has it. So if you go to her blog, if you go to Cognac X Conjure, it's like the option is shop, and then there's the blog option. She has a prayer, a money prayer here. And I would take her money oil and I would say her money prayer. And I would work a lamp or work a candle or whatever it is. Baby, the way that shit would move. The way that shit would move. Myesha's fabulous. So I just wanted to make sure y'all had y'all's things, okay? So let's move on to the next diva. That was Myesha. Shout out to Myesha. Let's go on to this diva named Satar'ra, okay? I'm going to leave her website up here. I'm going to link it. Give me 1 second, y'all. Now, as far as Satar'ra goes, IG Satar'ra. You just search that. Oh, wait, just kidding. No, it's not that. It's actually I am Satar'ra. Okay, I'll just put that in the chat then. So here is Satar'ra's Instagram. I am Satar'ra. That's what you search to find her. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and link her website as well. And then I'll talk a little bit about her offerings and why Satar'ra is special to me. Okay. All of this information is linked in the description, by the way. Okay. Now, Satar'ra is the woman that I got my first ever ancestral reading from. This was back in 2020. It was September of 2020. And Satar'ra changed my life. Satar'ra absolutely changed my life. She changed the way I saw myself. She changed the way I thought of myself. I don't want to get emotional. Um, this was, I don't know how she does her readings now. I think some of y'all got weird with her and she might have changed the configuration of how she does her readings, but I was blessed enough to have a reading where I was able to actually see her on, it was a Zoom call. But in any case, um she's a medium, okay? I don't know if y'all have ever seen the movie Ghost with Whoopi Goldberg, but you know, there's a scene in the movie where it's very clear that the ghost is like now inside of her, inhabiting her body. When I had my reading with Satar'ra, my ancestral reading with her, it became very clear to me that I was no longer talking to Satar'ra and that I was talking to one of my ancestors. Because even the way she was talking, I was like, I had been following Satar'ra online for a while, so I knew the cadence in which she talked. I knew her accent. I know her mannerisms. I was like, this is not her. So it became very clear to me that I'm speaking to one of my people, and she gave me workings, she gave me prescriptions, she gave me a bath to kind of move through the issue that I needed to move through at the time. And she was very gentle and sweet with me, and she was also very real. But again, Satar'ra shook shit up. And there are things that I refer to still 6 years later from that divination. I want to say this too about mediums before we go any further, and people who do this kind of work. I respect them deeply, but these are real people. This is the real deal, right? This is not like, you know, somebody who's like, oh, you know, I can tell your fortune and they're standing on the corner or whatever. They're trying to like scam you. I'm talking about like people who actually have the real gift. Okay. I don't even know how else to put it. Like Satar'ra really shook shit up for me. She changed my life forever. She changed the way I saw myself. Um the ancestors that she introduced me to and the information that she was able to give to me about them and the way they reveal themselves, it was a lot. It was in the best way. I want to say because I've had this conversation with family in my journey and trying to like know myself and understand myself deeper. I think that sometimes the Bible will get weaponized against these very intuitive types. But what I want to say is this, right? Before anybody is quick to demonize a medium or somebody who has this gift, I know that there is an excerpt in the Bible that speaks bad about mediums or seeking out a medium. But um you know, I was telling a family member of mine about this reading that I got with Satar'ra. This was years and years ago. And they were like, oh, well, the Bible says that you should never seek out a medium because da, 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 da. And I'm just like, you know, I can't remember the Bible verse or quote or whatever, but it's a very nasty one. And I just feel like how ridiculous is that for you to reference when the women in our family have dreams. Like my grandmother, years and years ago, I remember she would like be like, oh, you know, I had a dream about fish. And then weeks later, somebody would pop up pregnant. That's a medium, babes. Y'all's grandmothers, y'all aunties, and some of y'all are mediums. So to demonize the people who have the actual gift of sight is fucking crazy to me. And I'm not talking about the people who jump into your DMs talking about, your ancestor has a message for you. I'm not talking about the scammers. I'm talking about people with a real gift who have real testimonials and reviews, who actually do work in the community, who I am a person who I can say I have received product from this person or reading from this person, have engaged their work, and their work has helped me. So I just want people to be very careful about demonizing the people who can actually do this work, who are real life mediums. Jameer, you got goosebumps? Listen, I get goosebumps thinking about it. Okay, so huge shout out to Satar'ra. Yes, Claudia. Automatic block. That's right, Jameer. I know that's right. I just wanted to listen. Satar'ra has offered products over the years. I don't know that she offers products. She used to do like a Better Business oil, Come to Me oil. I think she did like a High John Rue oil for like money protection, job security, things like that. But what I do know is she offers services on her website. So like she teaches classes, card definition classes. She offers, oh my God, she offered this really fabulous money class years ago. And I thought it was so fabulous. I paid for it. And then I made my mom sit down and watch it. And she loved it. Okay. So I just, I wanted to make sure y'all knew like what everybody was offering. Satar'ra does the readings. Like to me, like go to Satar'ra for that reading. Go for that answer. Go to all of these girls for a reading. But I feel like I kind of illustrated like what you can go to each individual for. Like if I'm gonna go to somebody for a reading, I'm gonna go to Sope or Juju or Satar'ra. I don't know that Myesha offers it to the general public. Okay. Brooklyn Rose, we here. Okay. I love Satar'ra. She's a priestess, a musician, a rock star, a badass. She's not an Osun priestess, though. I just want to make sure that's clear. Myesha and Satar'ra, I don't think that I think they're initiated into their own traditions. I can't speak to their initiations. You have to go to their profile and kind of check that out. But everybody that I have on this list is a priestess. Everybody that's on this list is a priestess and is initiated to some tradition and is very educated on these topics and can answer any one of your questions that you have with ease. That's why I really wanted to make sure that like it ain't no foo-foo shit going on over here. It's the real deal, okay? So huge shout out to Satar'ra. I love her down. Satar'ra is younger than me. Satar'ra is younger than me, but she very much has that elder energy, much like Juju, who's younger than me. But, we kind of look at her like an elder because she just has all of the wisdom that she has, okay? Yeah, that's Satar'ra. So go to her website and let me see. Let me drop her website in here. This is Satar'ra's website. Okay. Satar'ra.com. And she also has a YouTube channel. But if you go to her Instagram, you can find, everybody that I have their Instagram link, you can find their link in bio. It has all of the things, their YouTube channel, all of their little side links and things like that. Okay. And then last but very, very not least, I wanted to give a huge shout out to my girl. I don't call her by her name. I be calling her Tam. I call her Tam, so I don't know if it's pronounced Tamara or Tamara. But this is the spiritual bath lady. She's also an Oshun priestess. I think y'all should get very familiar with this doll. If you are not already familiar with her, I'm going to leave her website here. This is Tam, aka Bruja Banton. And her website is ialodescorner.com. ialodescorner.com. There we go. Yep. Now, this is the spiritual bath lady. Now, her spiritual baths are the ones. Like they're really those girls. She has baths for protection, for spiritual cleansing. Her baths also come with taboos, excuse me. So like you're not going to be taking it on your period. You got to wrap your head in white after or sleep on white sheets. You're not going to be having sex for 24 hours after the bath. You're not going to be drinking or smoking. Like so some of these baths come with taboos. Now, she offers ancestral readings as well, so you can get a reading from her. I am not sure if she's offering them right now, but you should be able to go to her website and see if she's offering them. And she's just been like incredibly encouraging and supportive of me personally over the years, but I just love her down. I love her bath. I still have it in my fridge. You know, I add it sometimes to my own little spiritual baths that I make. I love it, love it, love it. Her shit moves. Her shit moves. Her testimonials are, the girls love her. She's one of those girls, much like Myesha, where like when she puts a product up, it's gonna sell out. It's going to sell out. I also wanted to shout out one of her creative endeavors. She also goes by the moniker Roxanne Taylor. I don't know if any of you have heard of this romance novel that has taken the world by storm this year. It's called Cash Rules Everything. So if you search like on Amazon or wherever you can get books, Cash Rules Everything, you'll find Roxanne Taylor. She did write a romance novel. And she's doing all of the things. Like she is at the book conferences. Her shit is really taking off. She's really incredible. But I just really wanted to speak to her baths because her baths are the shit. Okay. Of course, you can make your own spiritual baths, but if you want something with a little bit of extra oomph to it, you can definitely support my girl, Bruja Banton, and yeah, I just love this diva. I think she's incredible. So please check her out at ialodescorner.com. Let me also link her Insta. Whoops. Tam, aka Bruja Bantan, ialodescorner.com. Again, y'all, all of this is linked in the description. Appreciate this. It's so hard delving into our practices without help. So many scammers and monitoring spirits. I agree with that. And just to circle back to kind of something that Juju said in her book, it's just like there's a reason that people don't want us to know about our own traditions, about our own ancestral practices. You know, I said this before and I'll say it again. You can go into a nail shop and right there in the middle of the room or on the floor, wherever they have it, they have their altar set up. I walk past the nail place by my house all the time. They have the figs, the bananas, they have the little cup of coffee, they have the water, they have the, you know, they might have a cigarette or something. They have their offerings to their ancestors and is sitting right in front of your face, and you go into these establishments and you patronize these places, right? And you think it's all fine and well. You go to their restaurants, you eat their food, you get their services. But when it comes to your own traditions and your own practices, you think it's demonic. Baby, that's colonization. That's colonialism. That's white perversion and supremacy. Niggas, Southeast Asians, indigenous folks, we are the people who have 1,000 years history of deifying our ancestors, deifying our dead. Why is it that only Black people are locked out of this space? Why is it only demonic when Black people are practicing their things? And listen, I know with some African people that's going to get down here and start typing fast and say, well, I'm from Africa and that's demonic. Girl, y'all are colonized too. It's no shade, babes. Y'all are colonized too. Everybody on this earth has been touched with a piece of colonialism. So you're not really saying nothing, babes. You're not. So, listen, those were my Black history, not Black history, my Juneteenth, supposed to be Women's History Month shout outs, okay? But it ended up being like a Juneteenth moment. And a lot of y'all have reached out and said that y'all wanted to have the conversation and, you know, for me to provide the resources. And I'm just grateful for those of you who were open to it. I understand that coming from a Christian background, we have a lot of spiritual unlearning, a lot of spiritual undoing. It's kind of like in the same sense, right? Where when you are growing up, you think that because your parents beat your ass every day, that it meant that they loved you. And then you grow up and you realize, like, oh, damn, my parents should not have been beating my ass every day. That's something that you had to unlearn. And it's something that hopefully your parents had to unlearn. There are certain spiritual aspects of yourself that you have to unlearn. Very harmful ideologies that I feel I picked up from the world of Christianity that I have had to unlearn and kind of like reconfigure my brain and how I think of spirituality to kind of receive the gifts that I think were meant for me in this lifetime. So I pray that everybody Black who's watching this, you can find somebody that I provided on this list that you resonated with. Sometimes it's just a matter of like going through all of the people and being like, oh, something about this person resonates with me. Something about, you know, you never know how it's going to work out, but whoever you resonate with is the person that you might latch onto. And I wanted to give y'all some options. I also wanted to say this. I recently, or a couple of weeks ago, I finished this book, The Color Purple by Alice Walker. It's a very famous book. But I thought that something that was very interesting rather about the book was the characters and the relationship with God and how their relationship with God progressed throughout the book. And I thought that was so brilliant and so genius considering the times that the book was written. I think I have something screenshotted here. An excerpt from the book that I just thought was really fly that I wanted to read here. But here it is. So this is something that Celi's sister Nettie said. She said, God is different to us now, after all these years in Africa, more spirit than ever before and more internal. Most people think he has to look like something or someone, a roof leaf or Christ, but we don't. And not being tied to what God looks like frees us. Um, Nettie, actually, she went to Africa as a part of like a missionary group. And the people that she, or the tribe rather, that she encountered in Africa, she met their God. She met their God, which was a roof leaf. And the reason that their God, to my understanding, was a roof leaf was because it was something that they used to, I think, wrap their food in. It was something that they used for protection. It was something that they used to build their homes with, right? So throughout the book, Celie and Nettie both got to have different understandings of God. And they spoke about that within the book, and you get to see how that changed. And I just thought, for the time that was written rather, it was so fly and progressive. And shout out to Alice Walker. um the book was so different from the movie. I highly encourage you to read the book. All of the backstory about Sophia, we get some backstory about Squeak. Harpo wasn't shit. um Nettie's letters take up about a quarter of the book. Legit. Nettie's letters itself, like, whenever Celie was finally able to get her hands on these letters. Suge and Celie had a whole gay ass, queer ass relationship. They weren't just homegirls that just like they kissed every once in a while. Like, it wasn't like that. They were lovers. Do you understand that? Suge and Celie were in love. Suge was the person who introduced Celie to pleasure. Celie and Mr., after all of the shit that they went through or whatever, because he was nasty and disgusting and abusive, right? Celie told Suge that Mr. had been beating on her, and Suge had stopped fucking with him. She was like, "Oh, I'm not even attracted to you no more." That was the level of loyalty that Suge had to Celie. They got a house together. Suge saw Celie in a way that she didn't see herself, and because she was able to see her in that way, Celie was brave enough to go and try creative things. This was nowhere mentioned in the movie whatsoever. I'm nerding out about the book. This was nowhere mentioned in the movie whatsoever. But Celie and Mr. went on to become friends. Like, he legitimately actually saw the error in his ways and actually changed to the point where they were able to like sit back and have a kiki with each other. Y'all need to read that book. Y'all need to read that book. It's so many amazing things that went on in that book, but one of my favorite things was Celie and Nettie's understanding of God changing throughout their experiences, throughout their lives. Do Tam's bath come with instruction on how to use them? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Yes, they sure do. It's on her website, baby. Brooklyn Rose, listen, the thing about me and Color Purple, you know, when you're flipping through the TV sometimes and you see certain movies on and you just can't change the channel? For me, it's Color Purple. If that movie is on, I'm not changing the channel. If Training Day with Denzel Washington is on, I'm not changing the channel. If Malcolm X starring Denzel Washington is on, I'm not changing the channel. it's certain movies that I'm just like, I have to watch this. But yeah, I think that I wanted to mention that book too, because I loved how much, even in like the very beginning, like before she gets into the story, she talks about Celi's relationship to God changing. And I do think that we kind of have to change our understanding of how we think about God and spirituality. You know what I'm saying? Like, how I've come to understand God at this point in my life is like, you have God, you have this creator, right? But God has given us all of these spirits and all of these intermediaries to help us, right? So to me, it's stupid for somebody to say, like, say for instance, I don't have any on me right now, but here's an earring. I'm holding an earring, but just say for instance, this was a crystal, like an amethyst or a lapis lazuli. For somebody to say that that's evil and demonic to use a crystal with a certain intention is kind of crazy, because it's like, is that not God's creation? And it just gets to a point where like it defies logic to me. God has given us tools and things to use and utilize. Does that make sense? God cannot get involved in every affair that you have. It's just not realistic. God can't always be the one to intervene on everybody's behalf, because God is the all-knowing, all-seeing creator that is like, God can't get into into the minutia of things. It's like the big boss, the CEO, they're not looking at your timesheet. That's like the manager and your supervisor. That's like your immediate spirits, your immediate, does that make sense? God don't got time for all that shit. God did what it is they had to do, and they went on about their business. And as a God, they knew, okay, oh, you know what? Speaking of gods, I think such a great illustration of this. I don't know if y'all have ever seen this show. There's this show that came on AMC. You can still catch it on Tubi, okay, for free. It's called American Gods. It does such an amazing job of explaining the concept of God or gods, or how like gods work, and how you can essentially turn anything or anyone into a god, because worship, it just, it's time and attention to a thing. It's time and attention. So the show American Gods was about the old gods versus the new. The old gods were like Easter and Queen of Sheba, and I forget the names of the older gods that they introduced. And then they had the new gods, which were social media gods, right? Like, media, TV, and, this and that. And I just thought it was like a really great way to explain how gods are created. And it was like this question of who's more powerful, the gods or the people who created them, right? Anyway, I just think that over the years, my understanding of God and spirituality has really, really changed for the better. Brooklyn Rose, please at least watch season 1 of American Gods, because it blew my mind. It blew me away. Kid Fury used to talk about the show. Really? Kid Fury knows what's going on. Kid Fury knows. Divine Query, I'm so sorry, my darling. I already talked about Drag Race. I already passed through it. But y'all, listen, I'm about to get out of here. I love this conversation so much. I'm just grateful that y'all were open to the conversation, and I had a lot of fun. I'm about to get out of here. I have to make dinner. What time is it? Girl, it's already 5 o'clock. Oh my God. How is it 5 o'clock already? Anyway, y'all, I love y'all so much. Thank y'all for joining this live. Have an amazing week. Tonight is Roa, Rhode Island. Oh my God, I was supposed to talk about Love Island. Let me talk about Love Island really quick before I get out of here. Let me talk Love Island really quick because I have them in the thumbnail and I realized I didn't. I totally forgot. Okay, just a quickie, and then maybe later we can talk about the things some more. I feel like there is nobody on this cast that I'm rooting for. I am not rooting for any of these couples. I really don't care like that. I don't feel like anybody is really playing the game. Y'all are supposed to come here to find connections, and it feels like everybody has it in their head that they were going to get into a couple and stay in that couple and be closed off, but not really be closed off. But say that they're open to connection, but not really connecting with other people. So other bombshells come into the villa, they come into the house, and y'all are just sitting on y'all's asses. What's going on with Zach and Bryce? What do you mean by girth check? What do you mean by girth check? I'm sorry. Do men do this? Because Zach took a peek into Bryce's underwear. He looked down in there for the girth check, as if to check how fat his dick is. Nobody has ever took a peek into my panties to see how fat my pum pum is. If that ever happens, it's some gay shit going on. No shade. And y'all know I put the B in LGBT. If I ever give somebody a peek of my punani, fat pussy check. What? Girth check is crazy. I feel like Bryce is very disingenuous. I feel like Bryce is just there to get pushed through to the end because he knows that, maybe Trinity is popular and he's riding her wave. Zach is full of shit as well. I'm glad that Kata is exploring with Caleb. Fuck Zach. Who else? Anaya and Casey be getting on my nerves. Casey knew that he should have been exploring with Saul. Why didn't he pull Saul for a chat? Saul didn't do her job as a motherfucking bombshell, and neither did Caleb. Saul should have went in there pulling everybody's nigga for a chat. No shade. I don't know why Kenzie's still there either. Because if by the logic, they're getting rid of Gabe because he's so lusty and lustful, they should have got rid of Kenzie's ass and Corbin's ass as well. Now, Kenzie is pissing me off because she keeps mentioning, oh, I can't believe I wasn't in the top 2 couples. I wasn't in the top 3, bitch. Who the fuck do you think you are? You think because you're a blonde white bitch that you're automatically supposed to be in the top 2 couples? You think you're going to be a fan favorite? Then you got Jen, the most recent bombshell. Y'all should have sent her ass home too. Jen's ass should have went the fuck home. Because What do you mean by men only see me for my big boobs and my looks, and all they want to do is fuck, and all they want to do is this and that, when all you was doing was fucking? Did nobody tell you to give Gabe toppy down in that bed? Did nobody tell you to be bouncing up and down on Gabe's lap while everybody's in the bed next to you? So your little whorish antics that you're carrying out on TV, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear that men don't value you and they only want to get to know you for your pussy and your body. Well, you giving up the pussy just as easy, and you giving up the throat just as easy, mama. The only motherfucker in here that's really playing the game is Kata. I'm so glad that Kata went over there with Caleb to go have a chat, because that was getting too motherfucking comfortable for me. And I didn't even like this whole bit where he was like, oh, I don't want to fuck you because, if another bombshell comes in, we had sex and we don't know what that's really going to mean. Then they have sex. And then he's talking about, oh, we should explore. Kata needs to be talking to every motherfucker in that villa. See, here's the thing, too. Here's the thing. When we were talking about power dynamics a little bit earlier with Real Housewives of Rhode Island. We live in a system of patriarchy. Things are always skewed in a man's favor. Always. As a woman, you have to be very aware of this. You have to pull things back into your favor. Sincere only started cutting up with Mel when he saw that Mel was going over there to play in Corbin's face. Then he started getting scared. Then he started getting worried. And it's like, But he didn't have no problem going back and forth between Saul and Melanie with his old stinking lion ass. I don't know about the girth check being non-consensual. Bryce went over to what's his name, to Zach, and was like, girth check, and then Zach peeked in and whatever. So I don't know anything about, I don't know if anything happened outside of that moment. Now, I think a part of the problem that's happening here is that it's not enough bombshells coming in. Where's the niggas? Where's the eye candy? I think there's a problem with casting as well, because how is it that Corbin comes in? I'm thinking that Corbin and Melanie's going to hit it off because they look alike to me. I would pair Corbin and Melanie up because I'm like, oh, that they look like they would be each other's type. Corbin likes white women. I said, well, ain't this about a bitch? Corbin, everybody type, but his type is white women. So I think that there's a real issue with casting here. I think that there are not enough options for the girls, especially the Black girls. Like, Bryce is just riding Trinity's wave. Let me tell you something. As long as Trinity and Bryce are together, they will never get a vote from me. They will never. Because fuck Bryce. He's playing in Trinity's face. And I think a part of the problem with Bryce and Trinity is like, you try to talk to Kata from the beginning and she didn't feature you. Then you went back to talk to the bitch and she rejected you again. After you get rejected 3 and 4 times, you can't come back to me. After you went and played in another bitch face and she played on your top, you got to stay over there. Yeah, I'm not sure where that came from. It was very much consensual from what I saw. Yeah. It wasn't indecent exposure. It was like, hey bro, girth check, come look at my dick. How fat's my dick, bro? He didn't say that, but that's what else is a girth check? You want somebody to see how fat your dick is. I've never heard of such. So maybe this is something that white men do. I don't be in white people business all down like that. So I don't know. I don't know what y'all do. Sincere did Saul dirty. He was playing both sides. Just a lying ass motherfucker. But can I say this too? These girls, whenever Bombshell comes in, they get so upset and they get so nervous, and it's like the idea of them talking to somebody, or like when Anaya went to interrupt Saul and Casey talking, she's like, oh, can I interrupt while they're talking during their chat? I'm like, why the fuck are you interrupting them? Can I tell y'all something else that annoyed me about Anaya? This might have been the first episode. Yeah, it had to be the first episode, because I feel like you as a Black woman, I need you to have a little bit more self-awareness. And I understand these girls are young. So I do watch this from a lens of, listen, I know this is young people business. I know these is young people. They don't know what's going on. They don't really understand. But something that did piss me off about Anaya is that she chose Sincere and stood up on that little doorstep right alongside of Melanie. What would make you put yourself in direct competition with a light-skinned woman for a light-skinned man? The thing that bothered me about that scene was when Anaya was standing there next to Mel and they were waiting for the door open. She had this look of exasperation and worry on her face, as if she knew that when Sincere opened that door, he wasn't going to choose her. So why the fuck are you standing on Sincere's doorstep? You should have been standing your ass on Casey's doorstep from the very fucking beginning. I don't feel like there are enough options for Anaya and Trinity. There are not enough options for the Blacks. But it's like, don't come in here and act like you don't know how the world works. You knew Sincere wasn't picking your ass. You know, as a dark-skinned Black woman, you are not getting picked over a light-skinned woman, period. Now, are there exceptions to those rules? Yes, because there are some light-skinned men out there. There are some, just from my personal experience, where they only like the dark-skinned women. It's some light-skinned niggas out there that only date darker women. They only want their chocolate, sweethearts or whatever it is. That's not the majority. You go and stand your ass where KC is, even if you're not feeling him all like that. Why would you put yourself in a position to be rejected? Then she crying and carrying on and acting all paranoid every time the conversation comes up about him having a chat with somebody else. It's like, oh, I don't want you to feel like you can't explore, but then he goes to explore with Saul and then you jumping all out your body. I'm trying to understand why it is that Sincere was the one that announced to Saul that she had to go home, talking about, oh, she was the only one who wasn't coupled up. Nigga, she would have been coupled up with you, but you were lying. You were telling Saul, oh, it's all about you. I'm trying to couple up with you. It's dead with Melanie. Then you going over to Melanie and telling her, oh, it's nothing with Saul. It's dead with her. Like, I'm trying to end it. Like, you're a fucking liar. A part of the problem with this show is these are children. These are little ass boys. These are little ass boys. These are not grown men. I like my men decisive. I like my men definitive. Okay. I think when you are moving through the world as a femme, you understand that there are like maybe feelers, maybe alerts that you might put out to a man to let him know that you're interested. At that point, it is up to the man to approach you. I don't approach men. I never have had to. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in shooting my shot with a man. Yes, you can let it be known that you are attracted or whatever. Of course you can flirt or whatever. And then after that, it's up to the man to come and approach. Casey should have approached Saul. And then you're lying to Anaya and basically saying, oh, it's not, it's just you. I only want you. I'm interested in you. But you're interested in Saul. The girl sending Gabe home because he's too freaked out. I mean, the thing is like, yes, Gabe was a little freaked out, but he didn't need to be sticking his tongue down everybody's throat, but he played the game the way it's supposed to be played, which he was exploring different connections in the villa, which none of you motherfuckers are doing, by the way. Y'all think that y'all supposed to come into the villa and just get coupled up and ride it out to the end? Baby, I can't wait till motherfucking what's it called, Casa Amor? I cannot wait till Casa Amor, and I hope it's tonight. Uptown Alley Cat, I do feel like they keep reinforcing this trope, this idea. And then KC, his whole thing with Anaya in the beginning was like, oh, when I think of Black women, I think of you, and you're so this and that, and dark skinned women, this and that. And now it's just starting to feel a little bit performative because, Saul comes in and you're like, oh, I got an ex that looks just like her, and da-da-da. And it's like, no shade. I have seen more genuine interest from KC towards Saul than I've seen from KC towards Anaya. KC's dynamic with Anaya just feels like this whole time he has just been trying to reassure her that he likes her. Their relationship is him just reassuring her that he likes her. I don't ever get to hear about anything about her, anything about him. I don't hear from Bryce and Trinity anything about them. Like, I haven't learned anything new about these people. They're just sitting around talking about the other couples. Casa More starts tonight, period. Period. Okay? That's what I'm waiting for. It's 5:00. I already got my shrimp thawed out. I just got to clean it and, throw it on a pan. I'm trying to think how I should prepare these shrimp. Should I do like a coconut curry sauce? Should I do jerk shrimp? Or should I do fried? I don't know. But anything else I got to say about Love Island? I just feel like they're not playing the game. They're not playing the game. They're all pissing me off. I'm not rooting for anybody. I'm really not. I gotta wash my hair. I'm just not rooting for anyone, y'all. They release a teaser of tonight's episode. It's Casa More. Okay. It's tonight. Cool. Thank you, Xavier, for being here with us. And if you're catching the replay, please hit the like button for me. All right, y'all. I think that's it. I think that's it for me. I'm gonna jump out of here. I can't believe I've been running my mouth for 3 hours. 3 hours is crazy, but oh my God. Jameer, those of y'all who have been in this chat with me for the past 3 hours, I can't even articulate. I can't even tell y'all how much I love y'all and bang with y'all for real. I love y'all so much. Thank you so much for supporting this channel, for, going through the motions with me. I was all over the place today. I didn't really go off of my notes. I really was just like kind of going off of the dome. And that's why things were a little bit all over. But I love y'all so, so much. I want y'all to have an amazing rest of your Sunday. I pray that your next week is incredible as well. We're coming into summer solstice. And I'm excited for summer, and I want to run the streets. You know what I'm saying? I had a really good, like, my last 2 weekends were really good. Like, this one, my Juneteenth, I was out with the girls. And then the one before that, I was out with the boys, the girls, the boys, for Ra's birthday. And it was so incredible. So the last couple of weekends have just been like, I've just been on a high. I've been in the streets, really enjoying myself. And yeah. You've been cleaning and listening. I love that. All right, y'all. All right. I'm going to get out of here. I love y'all. Enjoy your Sunday. I'm going to see y'all later in the week for Atlanta, Rhode Island, and now I guess Love Island. I guess I'm doing Love Island. I don't know how I'm going to do this because it'd be 5 episodes a week. And y'all know them episodes as long as a block in Harlem. If you've never been to Harlem before, it takes 8 hours to get down one block. Them blocks in Harlem is so damn long. Okay. Just like these episodes be an hour and a half. But we're going to figure it out. All right, y'all. I love y'all. I'm going to see y'all later on this week. Bye.